What's going on, guys? Coming at you with a little live stream. Hopefully you can hear me. I wanted to come on here because I hadn't made any videos or live streams in quite some time. I have a little bit of a drive this morning. It's kind of early, so I don't know how many people will watch, but I know a lot of you watch after the stream is over. So, I haven't posted much here in a while. And it's just been crazy times. I've had a really weird and crazy schedule, and honestly I just haven't been super motivated lately, especially for this, but I've noticed more interest in my channel lately for some reason. I don't even really know why. And I noticed that I caught a couple subscriber peaks, and I wanted to speak out and let people know, especially if they're new, what's been happening, and kind of recap what happened over the last 6 to 12 months that has drastically reduced the amount of videos I've put out. So essentially, for those of you that don't know, back in really started putting videos out here back in like 2017, I guess. And I was just kind of doing it as like a little side hobby along with my normal everyday life. And I eventually in 2018 leased some commercial space and really went legitimate and started a automotive repair business. It was a small shop, but it built up pretty quickly, and really was just working out pretty nice. And I kept doing that, and I was making a lot of videos at that time. I was doing all right. And in 2019, after I had been building this up for a while, I took a short break from running my own business. I wanted to kind of reset myself, get a good idea of where I wanted to take things, because I felt like I was hitting a wall. I couldn't really expand to where I wanted to be, and I was just kind of caught in the middle between, I wasn't making quite enough money to grow the business quite where I needed it to be, and because I couldn't grow the business, I couldn't make more money. So I kind of stepped back from it for a while. I took a normal job for about a summer, maybe not even quite that long, just trying to, take a little bit of responsibility off my plate while still keeping the bills paid, and worked a normal job for a couple months. And I realized that just working a normal job wasn't for me, and I quickly wanted to get back into running my own business again. So in 2019, I met, with a customer of mine, and he currently owns a fairly large landscaping business. He has probably like 10 employees, and we hammered out like an agreement, to be business partners. He wanted to move into kind of what I was doing, along with running the landscaping business. And the concept was, I was going to bring all the equipment and some customer list and all that. He was going to provide basically liquid capital to the business to grow it, because he didn't have the equipment already. And I was supposed to take on the role of, the actual on-the-ground operation, getting jobs in the door, actually making sure the jobs are brought to completion, and then actual customer fulfillment. And his job was supposed to be more of the customer acquisition side, marketing, and a little bit of the human resource side. So building up to have employees. I had employees on and off before, but when you're a small business, like I am, retention is a real problem. And so you really need somebody that's focused on keeping you staffed well as you grow. Because at the end of the day, I'm just one guy. I can only move so many jobs. You can't really expect to run a business with all of the costs involved in that on the back of one guy's labor. It just doesn't work financially. So that was supposed to be his role, and I'm not gonna put him on blast or anything like that. But essentially, he put in a good amount of liquidity to the company, so we could make a couple of moves, and we kind of restructured. So originally, I was Kyle's Cars LLC, right? And kind of had like two arms of the operation. One arm of the operation was regular general automotive repair, and the other arm was like business to business clients and doing fleet services. And I also have a background working on heavy equipment, so that was another service I offered, was heavy equipment repair, although I didn't get a ton of it back when I was working on Kyle's Cars. When we partnered, we restructured to okay, I think we're back. I crossed the state line. As soon as I crossed the state line, it dropped my stream, which I thought was weird. But anyways, so as I was saying, we restructured to focus more on the heavy equipment fleet service side, which is a really good idea, and just because you can get more out of one customer, they're worth the squeeze a little more, and raise the rate by it was a good amount. I mean, it went from being, my hourly shop rate was $60 an hour. When I switched over to on-site, it went up to $75 an hour, which was a good thing to do. I mean, it made more sense as inflation happens, as the business grows. We really just needed to put more money in our pockets. And it really, you would think that big of a difference would drive people away, but it never really did, because when people need something fixed, honestly, price is only a consideration on the biggest jobs or for the poorest customers. But for the meat and potatoes of the industry, availability and turnaround is much more important than price. That's why dealerships can charge $150 an hour, and people don't blink. Dealership typically can get it done really fast. They don't have, in comparison, a huge amount of turnaround time. We call it cycle time. So your cycle time at a dealership is really low. So the whole concept of this business, not to get too off track, but the whole concept of any automotive repair business on the behind the scenes side is you have to pick a trade-off between your cycle time and your hourly rate. So if your cycle time is super low, you can have a pretty high hourly rate. If your cycle time goes up too high, you have to leverage that with a lower hourly. Just like Rich DeBoss says on Garage, if you've ever watched that, you got quick, good, and cheap, right? Pick two. So essentially, you're not even really getting that choice with a lot of shops. You're just kind of, the shop is already making the determination based on their cycle time, how much they can charge you for that. So everything looked good. We started running service trucks. We actually didn't even have a shop when we reset everything. I ran service trucks, and that was okay. But the problem with a service truck is you can't get into too big of a gig with that, because if you do, and you have a machine torn all apart and it's out on somebody's property, and you got to go and you find that you need another part that isn't there, you leave it in pieces out in the elements, and that's not necessarily a good thing. People aren't too happy about that. And then if you gotta go drive all the way somewhere and you can't fix it in that same day, but you didn't anticipate it, it can drive the cycle time really high for like a field service. You really want to try to avoid like doing anything that you don't have to do in the field, because it's just about keeping your customers happy. People are generally less happy when it's done in the field, even though people think that if they don't have to bring it to you, they're better off. Honestly, they're not. They're almost always not as happy with what happens. So we had all that going, and I wouldn't say we were making a ton of money because I lost a lot of time driving from job to job, but we were doing okay, and I had an eye on growing and getting to the point where I didn't have to be the man on the ground constantly. I really wanted to have a good staff, but my business partner, even though the whole point of him coming on was predicated on him helping grow to that point, he was very, very slow about it, and this was making me nervous. So we went and we were running like that. I wouldn't say we were like knocking it out of the park, but we were breaking even for sure. I mean, I was getting paid, that was all good. And then I brought up a couple ideas on like trying to diversify the company to insulate us from any recession. I talked about buying a tow truck. I thought towing would be a great way to staff, because you don't really need as highly skilled or experienced individual just to drive a tow truck. I mean, it definitely takes skill and training to drive a tow truck, but you can tow a car with a lot less training than you could fix a car. And I think there's a bigger labor pool with towing experience than there is mechanic experience. And even if you did find somebody, like I said, you could just teach them over the course of a couple of days and they'd be fine. Well, he wasn't too receptive to that. And then I talked about a couple other things with him. I talked about, just a whole host of like branching out concepts. But the problem was, he was not willing to make any moves on anything to branch out the company unless he really, really understood the business. And mind you, he put in probably half an hour a week to the business. So my response to him was, I'm the one that's got to know the business when it comes down to it. Like his job was just to market it, and you can't really market something you're not selling. So it's not really worth the time to train him about what we're going to be doing if I'm not even going to do it. So, and on top of that, he just wasn't even doing the marketing like he was supposed to, and that was a big problem for me because I could go get a loan from a bank for a better interest rate than half the whole company. That was never my intention, was to use him for a loan for capital. I really needed the backup for it. So, everything's going and we're staying afloat, we're making money, we're doing okay. We moved into a shop because I really needed a good rally point. I needed a place where I could take equipment that I couldn't service out in the field, and I needed a place to store stuff that was company run, not my house. So that was all fine. And I thought once I had the shop and there was an office, he might be a little bit more involved, because it was right down the street from his house, which I did intentionally because I wanted him to be more involved. And I chose to drive 45 minutes each way every day just so I could put it near his house. And he made a total of maybe 10 appearances at the shop in the entire time that I had it, and each time it was less than a half hour. So, that really sucks. So there's that. Everything just was starting to fall apart slowly. I had originally had a SunTrust bank account for my business. He wanted to change it to Wells Fargo because that's where he already banked. I let that happen, which I shouldn't have, because I knew that Wells Fargo was not a great bank, but that's just who he wanted to do business with. I guess I just thought it wouldn't matter that much. And that decision came to bite me in the ass. It's just like a bunch of small things were starting to weigh on me. I tried hiring a couple of different people, and I just didn't have the back-end support from my business partner, and that made it a lot harder because I'm trying to keep these jobs moving and running, and he's just so hands-off, not involved. I can't have somebody that's supposed to be my partner and they don't pull their weight. That doesn't work, man. So finally it came to a head at the beginning of this whole COVID crisis, when essentially they first started talking about the Paycheck Protection Program. So for those of you that don't know about the Paycheck Protection Program, the concept is it's a loan that is guaranteed by the government, specifically the Small Business Administration. So if you have less than 500 employees, what they'll do is they'll give you 2.5 times your monthly payroll. So let's say you only paid $1,000 a month in payroll, just to be a round number, right? They would give you $2,500 in this loan, right? And then if you spend 75% of the loan on payroll, and then everything else you only spend on like specific things like your rent, your electricity, whatever that's allowed in this list for your business, you can file a forgiveness on it with the bank. So basically, this was going to turn into, for my company, it was going to turn into roughly $20,000 in free money. And at first, I told him about it, and I said, I think, we haven't seen the slowdown yet, but I think we need to be prepared for it, and we should preemptively go grab this Paycheck Protection Program. And because he didn't really understand the Paycheck Protection Program, because it's written like a loan, he was totally against it. He didn't want to take any loans, he didn't want to have any debt. I get that, but he wouldn't even listen to me try to explain it, and so I got shut down. Then we started feeling a little bit of a slowdown. One of our bigger customers was like a non-profit type of company that did farming around the Richmond area, and when COVID hit, because they were staffed by volunteers for this program that were like interns earning some type of college credit, nobody thought it was worth risking getting sick to go farm, right? So equipment utilization in existence, so we thought, well, we'll wait on any of these jobs that we were talking about doing that you had in the pipe that you were scheduled for. So that was a hit, and then we took another hit because we did business with a local college. So there's a college in my town that has an equestrian center, and we had worked on a few deals, and there's a lot of story to all that, but essentially we worked on a few things with them, but we had like some bigger scale deals going on, and when COVID hit, they stopped allowing students, and they pretty much put their whole equestrian program on pause, and pretty much shut us down on a lot of the stuff that we had been planning to do, because the college was not going to allocate funds for any of the bigger stuff. I mean, of course, if they had stuff that needed maintenance that had to be fixed, take care of their horses, they would have to fix it. But we weren't even really their first call, but we had a few things that we did for them for sure. So there was 2 good-sized customers, and then the other customers we had were just starting to push down. Like, they just weren't as prevalent as they used to be, because nobody knew what was going to happen to them. Even if they stayed busy, they were putting a lot of stuff on the back burner that they might have just gone ahead and taken care of. So at that point, it became apparent that we were going to need the Paycheck Protection Program, and my business partner went to our CPA, and the CPA explained what I was trying to tell him, and told him that we wouldn't have to pay it back if we used the money right. And so he finally said, okay, he said, I'm going to take the reins and get this thing figured out, right? Well, you can't just go to any bank to get this Paycheck Protection Program. You have to go to your bank. That's the way it's set up, right? You can go to like a different bank in some cases, some like small side cases, but the typical preference is that you use your actual bank that you do your checking with. So this dude goes to Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo says to him, yeah, you just have to, we'll put you on a list, right? He calls him on the phone. They say, we'll put you on a list. And because like they hadn't opened up the enrollment quite yet. So I think it was like on a Thursday, they opened up the applications for the Paycheck Protection Program. And this dude does not get in contact at all. I call him 3 or 4 times. He ain't answering his phone to tell me what happened. Finally, I get to the point where I call the bank, and we're in a small town, so the guys at this bank know who we are. And I asked them what's going on, and they said, well, in order to get the Paycheck Protection Program, you had to have gone online and expressed interest. And I said, oh, okay, so can you tell me where we're at? And they said, well, at this point, we've run out of loans. Now, this was the program, I think, opened up on like a Thursday, and by Friday, like midday, when I talked to them, they ran out of loans. Like, ridiculous, man. Which, at first, I was just like, well, this is a problem with this bank. But not only was it a problem with this bank, but also my business partner never filled out the online deal to get on the list. So if we would have gotten a loan, we couldn't have, because he didn't fill it out online to get on this list when they would like call you in to fill out the paperwork. And I told him about this, and he was like, oh, well, that isn't the way I understood it when I talked to the bank. And I was like, okay, well, we've really dropped the ball. We've missed the ability to get this money so we can keep operating. And it was just a real nightmare at that point. Then they talked. Then basically what that the fund hadn't completely run out of money, but Wells Fargo has restrictions weighed against them for the trouble that they got into a few years ago, where the government limits how much profit the bank can make. So they calculated that if they gave out more than X amount of money in these PPP loans, that they would be over that amount of profit. And then, on top of all of that, they, rather than just saying, hey, well, all we have to do if we give out too many of these loans and make too much money is we just have to donate that money so that way we don't have that much profit, they instead cut off all lending after that many loans. And it wasn't like a lot, it was like a couple $1 million. And as like a way to leverage the federal government to lift the restrictions against them. So they were playing politics with my life and my business and hundreds and thousands of other people, because Wells Fargo holds the most small business accounts of any bank in the country. So they knew that they had a lot of leverage here, and they used that leverage surreptitiously to lift sanctions against them, which is wrong, and it hurt me, and it hurt my business. So time goes on, I go online and I express interest on the forum just in case they figure something out and they open up more funding, and I start reaching out to other banks. Every bank's telling me they can't do business with me because I didn't have a previous account. I even go back to SunTrust, I tell them I have a previous business account, but the problem is it's under a different LLC than I have now, so they have to lend based on the payroll of the LLC that account is under. And because my payroll was under my new LLC, I still couldn't have gotten any money from the Paycheck Protection Program. So I go round and round with this. Wells Fargo figures this whole thing out with the federal government, and then I just end up waiting and waiting and waiting. Well, my business partner managed to get the Paycheck Protection Program for his landscaping company. The problem is, his landscaping company didn't actually see any real slowdown. They operated just as normal all the way through this. And so he takes a Paycheck Protection Program from the landscaping company, which now makes us ineligible because he is a 50% owner in my company. Now my company is ineligible for its own Paycheck Protection Program. So, yeah. We were pretty much screwed out of that because of short-sightedness on his part. At that point, everything came to a head. I didn't see a way to continue operating. I finally said, look, man, this isn't fair. I'm doing all the work, and even the smallest things that I ask for, I'm getting just blackballed on, and it's destroying this business. And I just said, I can't work with this anymore. We need to split up this company because of what's happening. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what happened, man. Pretty much just shut it all down, and you know, I'm still getting by. I'm just doing side work. I bought property, building a tiny house on that property. I'm doing side work to keep, you know, my bills paid and just doing my thing here. But you know, the whole thing with these automotive related videos is they're pretty time intense, and moreover than that, they're money intense because, you know, you have to do something repair wise. If I want to do a repair tutorial, I have to spend money to repair something, and it's not that I don't still repair things, but I'm spending money to repair something, and then I'm adding double, triple, quadruple the time in the repair to make a video to talk about what I did. And a lot of times the video will get almost no views. It's hit or miss. Some of them will get like hundreds of thousands of views. Some of them, like, I mean, not even that much. I mean, my highest viewed video is like 150,000 views, right? Some of them will get thousands of views, but some of them will get like 100. And there's no rhyme or reason. And I can't go out of my way to target what is going to get a lot of views because I just have to fix what's in front of me. So that's hard. I can do product reviews, but that requires me buying products. And a lot of times, I just don't have stuff that I need that bad. If I buy something and I think that it's worth reviewing, I guess, but the problem is it doesn't happen that often. And the product review videos, I think the couple that I did pretty well. So I may try to do more of those, but I'm just not really sure what I want to do. You know, I don't know if I want to move this channel into not necessarily being automotive centric, or if I want to make it more about like just my life, like a daily vlog type of thing, or maybe target another niche that I could do. You know, I mean, automotive and heavy equipment repair is not my only skill in life. I could try doing different types of videos, but I feel like I would lose a lot of subscribers, and then I'd be almost better to start another channel if I wanted to do something different. But I don't know. I'm kind of curious what you guys want to see. You know, you guys steer the ship here. I mean, I've got 2,200 of you guys. That's not that many, but I mean, if I were to fill a room up with 2,200 people and talk to you guys, and I have remarkably positive comments too. So, you know, it's not like I see a lot of YouTube channels where like people are just shitting on the guy. I don't feel like that happens to me, and it makes me more empathetic to wanting to continue doing this. That's why I haven't put out a lot of videos, because I just haven't felt like I could produce something that is something you guys really want to see. But I don't, at this point, I have so many new people here. I don't know what brought a lot of them here. I want to know what you guys want to see. So if you're watching this after the fact, comment down below. Let me know what videos you guys would like and what direction you'd like this whole thing to go in, because, you know, that's why I do this. And yeah, so if you're new here, subscribe for more, because I know that there's more coming. I just don't know what it would be just yet. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below your thoughts and feelings, and I'll catch everybody in the next one.